Hi, I'm Annie Owens, and welcome again to My Dimensional Life. Last time we were talking about messages from those who have passed on and what type of messages they give. But before I get into that, please do like and subscribe to my channel so I can continue giving you more stories about my life and the things that I've gone through. Wow, it's been a hard day today. Um, so last time we were talking about it, I gave you the first time it ever happened to me, and that was a person that actually worked with my husband. This time, talking about the first time it's happened with somebody in my own area, somebody that I actually knew. It was a younger lady, and very, very so too young to go and pass over, but she had health problems after she had married and she had had kids. And I actually went on a field trip with her, with because my kid and her kid were the same age. So I went on the field trip with her, and she started asking me because she had knew about my near death experiences, and she was talking to me about what's on the other side. Curious about that. We got into talking a little bit about what she should do because she had just found out that she had a form of cancer. And the one thing that I was telling her is, I can give you all the advice in the world, but when it all comes down to it, it needs to be up to you to decide what it is you need to do. You're going to have to listen in your heart because whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen, and she listened a little bit. I wasn't in her friend group because she had a lot of family in this area, and I live in a small town, and so she was always with her family. I wasn't part of that group, but she just was talking to me and very curious about, you know, what could possibly be on the other side. That was already in that part of her mind. She was still good enough to go along and as I said, do a field trip, but shortly after that, it just kind of got worse and worse and worse. She did pass on, and it was about, before November, so it would be the end of October, um, beginning of November, I guess it would be. And I was thinking about her. I don't know why. I woke up and it was just, she had just kind of crossed my mind. So that's what I'm telling you. Every time this happens, it comes in a different form. It's almost like teaching me that there is no actual singular form. There are many ways that this can come about doing it. And so I woke up in the morning and her name was in my head, and then all of a sudden everything just started flowing through. You need to tell my husband this. And I pulled out a piece of paper because, a lot of times I will journal by my bed if I have a dream or something at night. And pulled out a piece of paper. I just started writing down as everything's just kind of flowing through to me. And I was like, well, this is really strange. And I just writing it down. Well, I was supposed to give her husband this message, and when it came time, because I write it down so I can let it go, I learned after the first time, don't tell him to keep repeating it time and time and time again, because then it's really, really difficult to deal with, being able to not get any sleep at night and you're just exhausted the next day. And so when it came time to try to talk to him, I literally could not find that paper that I'd written down. It was all, I didn't want to just try to do it verbatim of what I remembered of her saying. I wanted the actual, what she was trying to tell me. And so Thanksgiving came, and I was at my brother's house, and he lives in Idaho, and I was actually talking about her. We sit down, we're all together, like in their big living room, and we're just discussing things. And I was telling him about what had happened and how I had this message that was supposed to be given. And so I was like, well, I was telling him that I felt really bad, that I lost the paperwork, I can't find the notebook, and I don't want to just go up to him and say, hey, I got this message for you, and not actually have the full message, the scope of what she was trying to say. Because, as I told you, I write it down so that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to carry that information with me. And so as I'm talking to him, I don't know, I will get more into it later, but I tend to have that ability to be able to, I call it like an antenna booster. That's the only way I can describe it. I call myself an antenna booster. When I get around people that have some gifts those gifts start coming out. If you've ever seen spirits, or maybe just once in a while see spirits, generally when I'm around you, for some reason, I just boost the energy and you will see things. Different things will happen when I'm around. As I said, it's just some type of antenna booster. It's the only way that I can describe it. And anyways, as I'm telling my brother how bad I feel that I didn't get it out to him, that I felt that I should have done it before Thanksgiving, but then at the same time, inside myself, I'm like, do I really want to, if this, I don't know how he's going to take the message. Do I really want to hurt him during Thanksgiving? It's already hard enough. It's the first Thanksgiving without her. And as I'm talking to my brother, all of a sudden, he says, she's here right now. Because my brother does see things like me. And I could feel the energy, and it's on my left side. And I'm like, she's right here, isn't she? And he goes, yeah, she's standing right next to you. And I'm like, oh, I'm just so sorry. You know, I felt so bad because I didn't give the message. But there was nothing really I could do. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't even know where it is that I wrote it down. Well, after Thanksgiving, go home, and they were doing like a tree lighting ceremony in my small town. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go. My kids were smaller at the time, and so they were doing like a little hayride type thing going on. And so I'm in there, and I decide, you know what, I can't find the book. I'm just going to try to tell him, because I could tell she was not very happy, tell him what I remember. And anyways, I go and I tell him, hey, I need to talk to you later. Can we talk? And he's like, uh-oh, am I in trouble? You know, because I kind of knew him, but I wasn't real close to them. And he was just joking around. Am I in trouble? And I'm like, nope, I just need to talk to you about something. And I don't know how you're going to take it, but I do need to talk to you. And he goes, okay, yeah, sure. He was busy with his kids. I was busy with mine. That was fine. I took my kids on their little hayride, and we came back. And as we came back, Santa Claus was supposed to be coming, and there was a church there, so they were going to go into the church for Santa Claus to come. And I said, hey, go get in line, because all of a sudden, I had the weirdest feeling. I had never had this happen before. And since this has happened, I've only had it happen one more time. And I was literally walking after the hayride, and I saw her husband get his kids onto the hayride. And all of a sudden, I literally felt her walk into the back of me. Oh my gosh, that freaked me out. I wasn't scared like in somebody's trying to take over my body, but the energy that was coming through, it was kind of like in the movie Ghost, when she's like, that feeling that it was just like very, very intense. And so she walked into the back of me, and all of a sudden she's talking, and in my head, and she's extremely fast. I told you to tell him, and I was like, hold on. I could feel her inside. It was like too much energy in one area. That's what it felt like. It was like too much energy. I felt like I was going to burst. I'm like, hold on. I'm hurrying, trying to get to my vehicle so I can write it down. You know what I mean? Because it's coming so fast, because she is talking so quickly. I'm like, whoa, slow down. And I'm trying to write it. And I'm just like going as fast as I can to go ahead and put all this down, you know, of what she's telling me. And so anyways, as she did that, and she told me everything. All of a sudden I felt her like step right back out of me. Oh man, as I told you, that was the most intense I had ever felt. I had never had that before. The only thing I could say is that my spirit must have okayed it. My higher self must have okayed it, because that's not a normal thing that somebody can just walk into the back of you. That's just not normal. And so anyways, I had now everything I needed to tell him. And so I told him, hey, you know, I know this is going to sound strange. I did talk to her husband. I said, but we need to set a time so that I can talk to you. I said, I need to give you a message. You can take it, leave it, throw it away, whatever. But I need to tell you this, because I'm not going to be left alone until I let this out. And so anyways, we ended up setting up a day, and we sat down and we talked. And the message that she was giving him was that he needed to move on, that there was nothing that he could have done to change everything. And I didn't know that, but he had been holding on to himself, that if I would have done this differently or that differently, that she would still be around, because there's so many decisions that you got to make when you're in that type of situation where they're so sick like that. And he always felt like, well, if I would have done something differently, you know, it could have changed everything. And she said, no. She says, it was my time to go. It was contracted with you before we came to Earth. That's what she's telling me, that this was going to be my time. And I want him to move on. I want him to be able to let go. Um, and he was having a really difficult time because he was carrying this burden with him. And he's all, but I have these kids now to raise on my own. And then she tells me, look, when this contract was made, you signed the contract also. So when you came here, you knew that I would be leaving when I did. So you knew this was going to happen. And just telling him that made it to where he seemed to be more, wow, okay, I did know this was going to happen. So that means I must have felt that I was going to be strong enough to go on and do it and live this life. But she was just adamant that he just needed to move on. He needed to let go. He needed to stop putting the what ifs through his mind. He had a really difficult time, but he did move on. After this, he was able to move on. He was able to remarry in time. From what I understand, he has a pretty good life. He seems happy, and that's all she wanted. She wanted him to not stop his life because of the events that took place. Of course, as I said before, everybody has their mourning time. They mourn, they let go, and they move on. But the main message she wanted to give him was, you just got to let go. You just got to let go, and I want you to move on. It was the same thing as in the first message, just put in a different way. She was worried about her husband closing himself off and staying in this small little world. This one was, hey, don't stop your life for me. As hard as it is, you got to move on. And I was happy that it did change the way he felt about things, and it did change that he did move on the way she did ask him to do this, because this was many years ago. So I'm able to share that with you, what happened in the end. I do have another story of, I have several stories of those passing. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and do another part on this to give me a break just here for a second. All right? Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you in a bit.